What's going on, everybody? I'm Joe with NZR, and today we're going to be talking about fantasy football quarterbacks for PPR and standard format leagues. These are going to be your top 25 guys this year, your QB1s, your QB2s. These are the guys to have. This isn't going to be from ESPN's list or even from fantasypros.com, which a lot of people get their stuff from. So it's going to be my list, the top 25. Later down the week, running backs. Next week, tight ends and wideouts. But again, today, quarterbacks. So let's dive right in. Okay, so I got your burnt orange, brown undertone paneling right there for your visual pleasure, and that's going to be our background today for these quarterbacks. So top 25, here we go. Number 25, Kirk Cousins. So he makes the list. This is a QB2, somebody that you draft late, or not even at all, and just pick him up as maybe a bye week quarterback or to fill in for an injury. So Kirk Cousins, 3,800 passing yards this year, 25 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. This is not going to reflect how the Vikings do. None of these quarterbacks will reflect how their team does. This is just where I see them fit for fantasy football this year. Number 24, Lamar Jackson, 3,200 yards in the air, 600 less than Kirk Cousins, but as you see right there, he's going to be rushing for 850 yards, making him the number one rushing cornerback in the NFL this year for 2019. Number 23, Mitchell Trubisky. So Mitchell's at 23 right there, 3,750 passing yards, 27 touchdowns, and 15 interceptions. I think fantasypros.com had him at 18th overall. I think that's a little too high. This is a good Chicago team, but offensively is their weakness, the offensive part of their game, but he's going to make it on the board because I believe they're going to get the 10-11 wins, and when you do that, you usually score a little bit. So I'll give him the 3,700, 27 touchdowns. And there you have it. So 22, Derek Carr, 3,925 passing yards this year, 27 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. You can give a little bit of thanks to Antonio Brown for juicing up those numbers, but they got to get some stuff done in Oakland this year. Derek Carr's been there before and has had a successful year, and I think he'll get back to those roots. So he falls into 22. Here's 21. So Nick Foles is taking that 21 spot, and this is where it starts to be kind of serious if you're in two quarterback leagues or you want a legit backup quarterback, because the next 20 guys or 21 guys, including Nick here, they're going to be guys that can start. They can be QB1s, but you want them as QB2s, okay? So we have Nick Foles in there. Nick Foles, like I've said in recent videos, he's never had a super productive year, but going down to Jacksonville and really trying to turn that team around offensively, I think he's a good put. And I think if Leonard Fournette can stay healthy, it's just going to take a little bit pressure off of him. Now, I know he doesn't have a million weapons, but I just have a feeling that Nick Foles is going to come through as the 21st best fantasy quarterback in this upcoming season. So those are the numbers, 3,800 yards, 25 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. Low interceptions right there because I think Nick Foles is going to have a strategic game plan with his wideouts. The timing, I think, is going to be there, actually. So I like my 21, 22. It's everyone's favorite boy, right? Kyler Murray out of Oklahoma. Okay, this guy's a number one fantasy quarterback in college, maybe behind like Dwayne Haskins. But Kyler Murray, he's got the skills to do it, but it's really going to be that 625 rushing yards right there at the bottom. If you can't get him, he'll scramble and he'll pick up the first down or maybe much more. So 3,600 through the air, 26 touchdowns. That's a high expectation, but I like Andy Isabella in that. And I think this is your 20th best quarterback fantasy-wise this year. A lot of big expectations for Kyler Murray. A lot of people have him. People like him. People don't. But I got him at 20. Okay, before we jump into number 19, if you liked the video so far, please hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. If you don't like the video, we'll give you 19 more chances to prove you wrong. Okay, so here's number 19. Number 19, Josh Allen. Let's go Buffalo Bills this year. They're going to be a way better team than last year. And moving forward, so much potential. This includes Josh Allen. Josh Allen, 3,800 passing yards this year, 28 touchdowns, 14 picks. Mechanically, I want to see him get better, but this is a good quarterback to have on your team, and he'll be a franchise guy for years to come. 600 rushing yards, that's going to be top 3, I believe. Kyler's going to be in that mix like we just talked about. Lamar Jackson might be ahead of him, but Josh can run, and he also can throw. 18, Jameis Winston. He's broke that 4,000-yard passing mark before. He's going to do it again this year. Watch out for the connection between him and Mike Evans. 30 touchdowns, 16 interceptions. He does get kind of crazy sometimes to throw it away, and not, really go through his reads, and he kind of just tosses it up there. You have to fix that if you want to be a successful offense. Tough division, but he's going to get his, and Jameis is going to be a fantasy quarterback within the top 20. Number 17. Bam. Andy Dalton at 17. Okay, here's the deal. ESPN has this guy really far back. Yahoo has him really far back. FantasyPros.com has him outside the top 25. So if you're a Cincy fan, this is a great prediction for Andy Dalton. And I don't like the team, but I like Andy Dalton as a PPR standard format quarterback in the upcoming year. He already has the chemistry there, and let's be real, he has a pretty good offense. Efforts out there. You have A.J. Green. Some people say he's a top 5. Boyd, and out of the backfield, you have Mixon and Giovanni Bernard. And these guys can catch out of the backfield. So I like the red rifle here. I like Andy Dalton as a 17 on this 25 list. Is he a QB1? No, but he can fill in, and I think he's going to have some big weeks this upcoming season. So 4,000-yard season, 31 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 10 plus 40-yard plays. That's because of Boyd. That's because of A.J. Green. These guys know how to run routes, and they're quick, elusive, and he's a big-time quarterback on a top 25 fantasy platform. Number 16, Cam Newton, 3,850 yards, 29 touchdowns. Right there, have 7 to 12 interceptions. That's because this mechanics transformation. I didn't like it when I put it out in previous videos, but if it turns out to work and he's more fundamentally sound, which he hasn't always been, I'm leaning towards more of the 7 picks, under 10 picks. If he's not 12, 13 interceptions maybe, so he can really drop to maybe close to 20s or maybe a top 12 kind of guy. So he's really in between. It's hard to judge someone who kind of refines their mechanics, but 38-50, 29 touchdowns, 7 to, let's say, 12, 13 interceptions, and he's going to rush for 540 yards. He's rejuvenated. This guy works out harder than any quarterback in the offseason, maybe other than Tom Brady, but Cam definitely keeps his body in shape. He's a smart dude, and he's looking to improve going forward. That's why he's just outside the top 15 in fantasy quarterbacks. I know people won't like it. ESPN has this guy way higher, so take my word, take their word. He'll be out of the top 10. I guarantee it. Number 15. TB12 falls right there in the 15th spot overall in my power rankings. This guy can be a QB1. I understand it's 15th, but in 12-man leagues, and I think we all have those guys in our league, guys and girls in our leagues that kind of over-ambitiously draft a quarterback or somebody that they kind of have their eye on way too early. So TB12 is going to be a QB1, a weak QB1, but definitely a QB2. 2-man leagues. 2 quarterback leagues, this guy's in there. Okay, so 4,325 yards, 33 touchdowns through the air, 6 interceptions. These numbers include the idea of Josh Gordon being out there week 1, which I think he will. N'Keal Harry, I think they're going to have a great relationship and great timing, just like Tom has with most wideouts that he works with. Julian Edelman's right there. Demaryius Thomas, not saying he's going to put up the numbers he put up in the past, but that's 4 guys who can give you really good production. James White out of the backfield. Who knows how many he's going to give you. Find out later this week in my top 25 running backs if he makes the board. But a lot of options for Tom. That line's good. I think he's a better fantasy quarterback this year. This guy could sneak into the top 10 in fantasy quarterbacks, and I don't think anyone would shake their head at that. So he's number 15. Watch out for those 16 rushing yards for Tom Brady this year. You give the guy some room to run, he's going to make you pay. He's going to get 16 all year, so it's 1 a game, but he might, do it all in 1 game or, who knows. But 15th overall, number 14, Dak Prescott. You get Witten back, you get a full season with Amari. I got him at 4,150 yards, 31 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and he's going to run for just under 400 yards. This is a better Dallas Cowboys team, I believe, offensively, and I think they have a lot to prove because of the way they kind of ended the playoffs, and defensively, I think they're more sound. I put that in my NFC East prediction. So I think Dak is proven. I think he's 25 or 26. He wants that money. Probably going to get about $30 to $32 million coming up here shortly, maybe before the season starts. So this is their guy, and he's a top 15 fantasy quarterback, and also a fringe QB1, but definitely in 2-man leagues, 2 quarterback leagues, you're going to want this guy on your roster. So 15 for Tom, 14 for Dak, and 13 goes to Philip Michael Rivers. Don't ask me how I know his middle name, but Philip Rivers is going to be the 13th overall. This is a QB1 in 12-man leagues and 10-man leagues. I don't know, but if you're drafting well and there's other good talent on the board, then yes, he would be QB1 in 10-man leagues. 8-man leagues, if you play an 8-man league, don't, because that's too easy. Go to 10 and 12-man leagues. But Philip's up there, 4,400 25 passing yards this year. AFC-wise, this isn't the best offense, but I have them as a top 5 offense, I believe. Defensively, I think they're number 1, but they're going to strike, and they're going to win some games, and it's going to be led by their captain, Phillip Rivers. 35 touchdowns, 8 picks, always been relatively good in the pick department, and some of the guys on the team have been there a while, so the timing should be down. Good chemistry. 10th kid. Don't know how many points you get for that, but he has 9 so far. 10 might be on the way. Look out for that. It might be a big point addition in the late weeks. Number 12, Russell Wilson. Russell's high on a lot of people's boards. FantasyPros.com has him 6th overall, so I have him 6 spots farther down. I don't know. I like the Seahawks. I said they're going to be divisional winners, and this is a great team. But it's not going to be great because Russell's going to throw for 6,800 yards. That's just not the case. I do him at 4,250 right there with 34 touchdowns. I think DK probably pulls in 8 or 9 of those. So I think big production on a DK this year. He might make my top 25 wideout list, but who knows? Probably not. 10 interceptions. Russell sometimes in the scrambling game, gets a little overambitious and results in an interception, but solid quarterback, franchise guy, one of the greatest, phenomenal transition player throughout the year. So 4,250, 34 touchdowns, 10 picks, and he's going to rush for just under 400 yards. So Dak Prescott kind of category when it regards to a running, top 10 or running quarterback in the NFL next year. I know he's getting older, but he still has wheels, and he's still a very creative guy going forward. So there's a 13 and 12. Number 11, all right, trigger warning coming up. Brace yourselves. It's going to hurt, but hear me out. Here's number 11. Patrick Mahomes. Okay, won the MVP last year, just over 5,000 passing yards, 50 touchdowns. So have him number 11 here. And I understand when I use the reference of the Tyreek Hill case, which this is a guy who almost had 1,500 receiving yards last year. So he's important to add. As of this moment, he's not playing. And as of reports coming out, there's no timetable of when he is going to play. There's articles saying that he should. There's articles of the charges being dropped. But I'm going to predict with what's going on right now. Like I said, I don't predict injuries, but if it's relevant right now, it's relevant right now. NFL loves handing out suspensions too. So at the best case, I see Tyreek Hill coming back with a suspension of anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks. So this guy isn't going to give you 16 games. I understand it hurts and it's a tough one to swallow, but it is what it is. I'm not saying he's right or wrong about the criminal actions. I'm just saying when I added into Patrick Mahomes' offensive production numbers, I have to take into account that he's probably not going to be there 16 weeks. He might be there 8 weeks, might be there 4, but even so, that's what I did. Now, I did kind of look at it as a suspension to where he probably might come back, but I have to take numbers off the board because of that. So, with that being said, and also minusing the additional roughly 400 passing yards that Kareem Hunt reeled in, along with some touchdowns, and along with Tyreek Hill's 14 touchdowns, I have Patrick Mahomes at number 11. This is a QB1 in 12-man leagues, and this is a QB1 in 10-man leagues, but there's going to be a production drop. If you told me my quarterback's going to get 4,400 yards with 36 touchdowns, I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, that's a really good season. It's only 600 yards less than last year. If you really have the thought and the inclination that Patrick Mahomes is going to give you 5,000 yards every year, then that's just not going to happen. No one believes that. So 4,400 passing yards, or 4,399 right there, 36 touchdowns. So a 14 touchdown decrease, 9 interceptions, 310 on the ground, which is a little bit more than last year, but he's going to have to use his legs a little bit more. People think Pat Mahomes is a big-time running quarterback. No, he can rush, and he can pick up the first down, but he's pretty smart. And he kind of plays it safe, and he kind of makes up for it for his arm. I see a little bit, not a big amount, but a little bit drop in Travis Kelce's production, just because right off the bat, Sammy Watkins is going to be your number one wideout, and he's a little bit easier to guard than, let's say, a Tyreek Hill or Kareem Hunt out of the backfield. So Patrick Mahomes is still a QB1, okay, a QB2 if you're just drafting quarterbacks off the board, but in 10, 12-man leagues, PPR standard, you want this guy on your team. And this isn't, like I said, going to reflect the way I feel like KC does. Now, if you want to know how I feel like KC's going to do, go look at the video of the division breakdown of those guys. But he's number 11, 4,400 nearly, passing yards, 36 touchdowns, 9 picks, and 310 on the ground. Now, number 10, Matthew Stafford, okay, 4,575 yards, 37 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, and 4 game-winning drives. Matthew Stafford is one of very few quarterbacks in the NFL that have thrown for over 4,000 or 4,200, I should say, passing yards. He's done it 7 times in his career. He had a terrible offensive team last year, and he almost threw for 4,000 yards. Literally no one. After Golden Tate departed, Kenny Galladay coming in and out of injury, Marvin Jones Jr. not there, literally no running game and no tight end, and he almost got 4,000 yards. He's thrown 40-plus touchdowns before. He's thrown over 5,000 passing yards in a season before. He has weapons now. You add TJ to that mix, and I think Carryon and CJ obviously is a big improvement in the run game, which is going to take more pressure off him. So, rightly so, number 10 at 7.5 through the air, 37 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, and 4 game-winning drives. Pat Mahomes, Matthew Stafford, these are QB1s, 12-man leagues, or QB1s or QB2s, however you want to look at it. They're both top-notch guys, they're both pro guys, and they've already proven themselves, and I hate saying that for guys who just go into their second year. So I understand this is Mahomes' third year, but he really didn't do anything the first year, so I'm saying Patrick Mahomes is a proven quarterback. Is he elite? No. I don't think it's fair to be elite after one season, but he can be. He has the potential to be, and Matthew Stafford has been there and done that, and it's going to be a great year for him, fantasy-wise. Okay, on to number 9. So Jared Goff is going to be the first guy to crack single digits. He's going to be at 4,500 passing yards this upcoming season, 38 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, and 250 on the ground. So a little bit of everything, but when you have Woods and Cooks and Cooper Kupp and Gurley, who's going to get less production catching out of the backfield, but I still think he's going to be relevant and worth note. They're just too much to go around, and he's going to be a successful top 10 fantasy quarterback. It's just the truth. They're just that high-powered. Not necessarily as many yards they got last year, but he's still going to be very, very relevant and far up there. So he's at number 9. Number 8, Carson Wentz. 4,455 through the air, 37 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and 215 rushing. I think if I was an Eagles fan, I'd want to see that rushing a little bit farther down, but that's kind of where he's averaging. But we know what happens when he does rush. He tears his ACL. So that would be nice to drop back, but as a top 10 guy, and he could really fluctuate with anywhere between that 10 and 5 spot. I mean, you have Alshon Jeffrey, you have Aguilar, you have Zach Ertz. There's a lot of options on that team, and I really like him. I really like him as a quarterback, and I think he's going to be very successful in this upcoming year. So that's 9, that's 8, and number 7, right there, Aaron Rodgers, 4,670 yards, 36 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Note 4 interceptions. This guy from from touchdown to interception ratio is just crazy. He just doesn't throw interceptions. So right there, 4 or 5 this year, and he's going to rush for 195 yards. If I was a Packers fan, I would like to see that rush number 0 because we know what happens when he rushes. Just like Wentz, Rodgers tends to get hurt. This dog, stop barking, dog. I'm trying to make a video. So 195 on the ground, 4,670 through the air. Aaron Rodgers is a top 10 quarterback, and I think everyone's opinion in fantasy or thereabouts, and a lot of people even have him in the top 5. So that's 7. Number 6, there's your boy Baker Mayfield, another great Oklahoma quarterback. He's going to get 4,725 yards this upcoming season, 39 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. Story goes that he throws harder or just as hard as the best quarterbacks in the league, so he can really get that ball and fit it in there. You have OBJ, you have Jarvis Landry, you have Callaway, you have Hunt after week 8. This is going to be a very successful receiving Cleveland team, and this is going to make Baker look that much good. Also, Njoku right there at tight end, who in my opinion could be a 1,100-yard tight end, but just not on Cleveland. There's just too many mouths to feed, but I like Njoku. So a lot of options for Baker. He just falls out of the top 5, but some places have him in there. So Rodgers at 7, Baker at 6, and number 5. So Drew Brees right there, cracked the top 5. He's a top 5 fantasy quarterback. Most people would agree with that. FantasyPros.com has him 8, so I have him 3 spots higher, but might be his last year, and I think he's going to put up big numbers as he does all the time. So 4,845 through the air, 41 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. So he's going to break that 40 touchdown mark this year again. Drew Brees, he's the man. Great connection with him and Michael Thomas, so they're both going to have phenomenal 2019 campaigns, and he's going to be a top 5 guy. This is a QB1. This is a guy that you kind of almost want to go out your way to get just because you're going to get production with him. I had him on my team in a couple leagues last year, and obviously there's always a few games that quarterbacks Don't give you a million points, but Drew Brees was consistently a phenomenal quarterback to have. So he's at 5. Number 4, Deshaun Watson. I love this dude, man. And I had in a video where it was the Texans breakdown when he played against the Seahawks about 2 years ago, and it was a shootout between him and Wilson. So much fun to watch. This guy can precisionally put the ball a lot of good places. He throws hard, and he's a great quarterback. He's a pocket quarterback if you want to take away that running game. He can get you the ball. So about 4,400 yards this season. Another great year for him and Hopkins together. Fuller's in there. So 39 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, and I say maybe 600 on the ground. He just looks healthy. It looks healthy. The workouts are going good. The Texans have something to prove. They were the kings of that division last year. I have them falling under the Colts this year, but that's not saying that that's going to happen. They can easily win it again, and it's going to start with Deshaun Watson. So big things out of him. He's number 4. Number 3, Big Ben, man. Ben Roethlisberger, 4,950 yards, 40 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 2 touchdowns rushing. So he's going to sneak in maybe a couple QB sneaks throughout the year, give him a little extra points right there. But this guy is a top 5 quarterback in fantasy. I like him. He was the number 1 passing quarterback last year. Wasn't Mahomes. It wasn't Patrick Mahomes. It was Ben Roethlisberger. I get it. You lose Antonio Brown. And that's why I'm giving him a hit. I'm taking off almost 300 yards. I believe that much in Juju Smith-Schuster. I believe that much in Ben being already a proven quarterback. And I think James Conner is going to come back and have another successful year and get passes out of that backfield. Ben won't break 5,000 yards, but he'll be close to it, and he'll be close to that 40 touchdown mark. 9 picks, like I said, rushing in for 2. This is a top 5 guy. This is a guy you want as a QB1 because he's going to give you the numbers. He loves airing it out. And Juju, he can run routes. So a lot of fun there. Vance McDonald have a better season. Obviously, he's going to be the number 1 guy at the tight end spot. So big things out of Pittsburgh. Big things out of Ben Roethlisberger. Number 2, there he is, Luck. Mr. Andrew Luck. Going to lead the Colts to the promised land this year. Over 5,000 passing yards. Last pass of the season, he gets it for a 2-yard game, So 5,001 yards in 2019. 43 touchdowns, 8 picks, and 115 on the ground. He gives you those 3rd and 6 rushing yards. He's a tough dude. He can take a hit, and he's a competitor. He wants the first down, and he'll fight for it. That's why I'm going to give him some rushing yards too. But Andrew Luck, I think he's an MVP nominee. I don't like MVP nominees before the season starts because there's really no way to predict that. But I think he's going to be a guy who can be successful and can be at the top of his league. Put him with Paris Campbell, who I love, out of Ohio State. They're going to have a great connection. Paris Campbell and DK Metcalf are going to fight for maybe those 8-9 touchdowns. There's a lot of other guys in there, wide receiver-wise, that are rookies that are going to do well also, but I like Paris Campbell. I already like that offense. I like that offensive line because it's the best in the league, headed by Quentin Nelson. So Andrew Luck, the number 2 fantasy quarterback in the NFL this year. So number 1, we all know who it is, Marcus Mariota. Actually, it's going to be Matt Ryan this year. Marcus Mariota was number 26 in my breakdown, so just fell right out of this video. But Matt Ryan's the number 1 guy, 5,200 roughly passing yards in the upcoming season, 46 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, and some yards right there on the ground. But Julio Jones, Mohamed Sanu, Kelvin Ridley, Hooper, these are 4 guys that can catch the ball. Okay, these are 4 guys that are physical dudes, and they can go up and get it and fight for it. Julio, top 5 guy. I have him as maybe number 1 in the league, but I think everyone would agree. Top 5, Mohamed Sanu, maybe one of the best second wideouts on any given team. So I like those guys. I like the production that they're going to have in this upcoming year. Freeman out of the backfield, I think he'll have an increased production catching the ball wise because he's the number 1 guy coming up in this upcoming season. So I like that. Then they go in the draft and get Lindstrom and McGarry to bulk up that O-line and make them that much better and create that much more time for Matt Ryan, who doesn't need a lot of time, but Julio Jones gets open in about half a second, so it's just going to make them a more productive team. Matt Ryan's been there, though. His stats have been proven. Thrown for over 4,000 yards 8 times, or 8+ times. So, just really great numbers. A QBR rating of his career around 95. So he's proven, and this is going to be the number 1 fantasy quarterback in 2019 for standard and PPR league. So don't reach for him. Time and place to get him. But we'll go over that in future videos. Okay, so that's going to be your top 25 fantasy quarterbacks this year. Tell me what you think, though. Sound off. I know some people are going to like them and some people are not going to like them. But tell me what you truly think and comment below. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. It means a lot. And feel free to message me in the link or just comment and suggest future videos I can put out for you guys that you're going to love. Some other videos coming out this week is a top 25 fantasy running back video. And then next week, top 25 tight end and wide receiver. So take note, because these are the guys that are going to win you your fantasy football leagues, whether it's against your friends, random people, or for some money. So that's coming your way. And until that, I'm Joe, and this is the Neutral Zone Report. Thanks for hanging around, and I'll see you very shortly, guys. So long.